I would say to send that money back for home funds, to send it back to somebody that...
I too am here to discuss, if you will, the changing of the guard next week. I'm very much interested in that change, that there will be a new president that will address what has come to known as the SAYA clause. The pay to play with the loopholes that allow individuals to vote after taking donations and gifts for campaigning. I would like to know, and if you care to, anyone after I'm finished, who will support amending that resolution or ordinance or whatever it is to remove those provisions where the immoral use of someone paying for your vote may not be illegal, but certainly is immoral in our opinion. The other thing I want to address as well, in the review of performance for the past year, is again the SID. I think it was last week I was told that it had passed or was going forward, and we're still concerned with a double taxation for people in this particular SID footprint. Totally unconstitutional. We feel as though that anybody that would support double taxing people for what has been determined their best interest is somewhat disingenuous and or unconstitutional. We really would like to see new leadership and or people vying for new leadership, because these conversations are had outside of the preview of the public, what your opinions are on these issues. I just think that we need to look at people that are really going to represent the people, not special interests. Special interest is taking over. The little guy is getting trampled on. Nobody's really talking about the issues of the 53% plus people in this town that are at or below the federal poverty guideline. Bringing us to my last point, which is in March, I believe it was, the HUD report said we were in jeopardy of losing hundreds of thousands of dollars of HUD money. And at that point, Councilman Tavares, who is also the city chair, rebuked me, basically in stating that I had come to intentionally yelled fire in the movie house because I was looking for some sense of urgency in addressing the funds being allocated to those eligible entities for the HUD programs. We were assured at that time, Councilman Tavares, that phone calls were made, because I told you before the meeting I didn't try to ambush you. I didn't try to ambush you.
Please conclude.
You called and said that the money would be spent. This administration sunsets next week. There's nothing. I saw nothing in the agenda, and I don't see anything coming forward in terms of projects to spend that money. Can that be addressed, or is it really a moot point at this time because it does sunset next week?
Yes, Councilman. I spoke to the director, email director about that issue, and she said that she's confident that that money will be spent by July 31st, which is the actual deadline that we have. Other than that, there's other projects that she's talking to other people about. If you're mentioning the home programs, that's what you mean, right? The home program, home funds. That there are other projects that people are interested, so they're doing the due diligence right now. To my opinion, some of these projects have to do with affordable housing, and truly, my opinion is that we shouldn't build any more affordable housing, but that will be up to the council to decide when that comes in front of us. As you said before, if you mentioned the statistic that you mentioned right now, if it's true, 53% below the poverty level, I think we have done enough with affordable housing. And the affordable housing law in New Jersey is not just for Paterson, it's for the whole state. So those federal dollars can be used in other places. It doesn't mean because Paterson manages it that we have to build in Paterson. I think, it's time for Wayne, Heldon, and all these other places to take on the responsibility of affordable housing. Saucon, as a matter of fact, for more than 10 years have been completely rejecting any RCA funds because they realized that they needed a mix. They needed a mix of diversity when it comes to socioeconomic status. If we continue to build affordable housing in Paterson, that 53% will get to 60%. So you're going to have really, and I'll get to the point of this issue, is that the reason why we knocked down the housing projects is because they didn't work. You have a pooling of folks that were under the socioeconomic status, as you stated, poor, and they said that didn't work. So what we needed to do was completely eradicate that model and basically build affordable housing around the state so you can have sort of, again, a mix, diversity of socioeconomic status, right? So you have folks that were middle class and upper middle class and folks that were low income. So what we're doing in Paterson is basically converting the whole city into a housing project. We continue to doing this. And that's a problem and a half. Now, again, the director is working with other folks to provide those funds. There are some projects that might be coming to us in mid-July. At that point in time, I don't know who would be the chair, who would be the president, but I would say to send that money back for home funds, to send it back to somebody that built affordable housing in Hawthorne, Heraldon, or Wayne. If you say it yourself, we're at 53%. I'm going to believe the statistic. If we continue doing this, how far are we going to get to the point that we're not going to be able to sort of move Paterson in the right direction? We need diversity when it comes to our socioeconomic folks in here. We need more middle class folks coming into Paterson.
Thank you.
So we're working on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
What about the other question? Anybody care to address the issue of the say it clause?
Maybe during Christmas. Thank you. Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
Yes.